Greetings, it's Eric Bakker, the Naturopath from New Zealand, back again. Still on the Candida Cleanse Advanced program. We're still on the Low-Reactive Diet module. We're on part 2. Now that you understand why we want to achieve this, pull some of the most reactive foods out of the diet, now it's time to talk about how to eat these foods, how to track them, and also what to do if any symptoms pop up during this transitional elimination phase. This is where things are going to get really interesting. This is where some of you guys out there are going to start to realize that some of the foods or drinks you're consuming could actually be linked to different symptoms that are being produced. Symptoms that you've had maybe for a long time and just can't get a handle on, or your doctor can't even get a handle on. So we recommend saving the resources on this page for future reference. The Low-Reactive Diet Guide, the High and Low Reactive Food List, the Food Scoring Guide, and your Symptom Tracker. All of these PDFs are available for free. The High and Low Reactive Diet Food List is a clear breakdown of the most and least reactive foods you're bound to eat. This will give you more of an informed dietary choice. So this is a tool you're going to use to assess your daily food choices and identify any potential triggers. So the goal during this phase is to really eat a calm, low-reactive kind of diet to settle the gut down, to settle any kind of responses down in the body. The good thing to do is to go and have a look at these reactive food lists and to sort of circle or identify any key foods there that you can really react to. This is what part 1 was all about, was to assess what's going on in the diet. But if you haven't done that, I'd urge you to go back. What do I recommend you eat? Well, I recommend you stick to really light, basic kind of foods like steamed vegetables, just basic kind of food. Zucchinis, carrots, pumpkins maybe, green beans. Leafy greens are often a good choice. Low reactive grains too, for example, and seeds. We're talking millet and quinoa and rice. White rice is often quite easy to digest. Clean animal proteins like chicken, turkey, lamb, and maybe small amounts of wild fish. Low histamine fruits. Apples and pears are usually good low histamine kind of fruits. But remember, no dried fruits because these can be highly reactive. Olive oil, ghee, butter, cold-pressed avocado oil. There are many different oil choices. The key thing is to avoid things that are really overly fermented or aged, like cheeses or wine or things like that. But also foods that when you eat them, you feel an oral response, like an oral allergy that you could be triggering. Oftentimes people have a feeling that some food they consumed not long after did create some form of reaction. So I'd recommend you identify those foods and mark it on your reactive food list. The key thing to do is food rotation. So if you eat the same thing every single day, you could become reactive to it, highly reactive to it, in fact. So we call this a loss of oral tolerance. And we often see this with the top 9 trigger foods that we've discussed before. There can be dairy, there can be fish, it can be any one of those kind of foods. So the trick is to rotate these foods so you don't get that allergic response building up. This is very important, especially if you've got leaky gut, which is quite common in people who are going into the low reactive diet phase. It's a good idea to rotate foods over a 3 to 4 day cycle, especially if you've already culled the foods that you like eating the most and you're left with a lot of other foods there. Have a look at the foods that are left over when you take out the ones that you like to eat. So you need to also be careful of those choices and again, rotate them. You'll have a better chance of sidestepping immune reactions. For example, if you're eating a starchy vegetable on a Monday, you may want to wait till a Wednesday or Thursday before you eat that again. This could be going with virtually any type of food that you've got a desire for. Just back off and have it infrequently. This breaks the cycle of any responses that could happen. Rotating not only lowers your risk of reaction, but it also exposes your microbiome to a lot more nutrients because you're actually diversifying your diet. So symptom tracking is very important. Personal feedback loop. So food goes in and poop goes out. It's good to track the poops as well as the food to see what your digestive system is doing with the food that you are eating. What is the texture of the stool like? Does it look like? Do you have more bowel motions or less? Are they formed quite okay, or are they still loose or too firm? So they'll give you an indication on which direction your diet is heading in. How you felt 1 to 3 hours after consuming that food. Did you feel tired or bloated or wanting to lie down or symptoms like that? How did you feel the following day when you woke up? What was your energy like? Skin changes, sleep, mood shifts, all those things are important to assess. So this is going to give you real-time feedback on what you're consuming, the outcome of that is. What about symptoms flaring up? What do? Do you sort of just go back to your normal diet? No, well, you've got to find out where the flares are coming from. It doesn't mean to say that the food you're consuming is always bad and you've got to keep away from it. I've seen too many people who have put on restrictive diets and then 20 years later they were still on a restrictive diet. If you do react with certain foods, remember it could be that you had too much food or you introduced that food too soon. Or the other thing is you combined it poorly. Maybe you had too many food choices at the same time. And this is why simplicity is best at this stage. Just remove that food, give your digestive system a break. So how long do you need to stay on this low reactive diet for? Well, generally 2 to 3 weeks. It all depends if you've identified the trigger foods earlier in the piece or later. If you feel really good and a big pickup, that's awesome, because you may well have found what some of those trigger foods are. So you don't want to be in a hurry to put them back in, especially if you notice a marked change when you took a particular food or drink item out. If you feel the same and not much change, don't give up. You just need to hang in there a little bit longer and still keep working with the food list. So once your symptoms reduce, your energy goes up and you can feel inside yourself improvements, it's time to slowly move into food reintroduction, which is the next module. So let's look at your to-do list on part 2 of the low reactive diet. What are the core things that you need to be doing? Follow the 3 to 4 day rotation plan. Track symptoms, especially mood, skin, sleep, energy, those sort of things. Keep meals simple, maybe 3, 4, or 5, different types of foods max in a meal. A meal could be something basic like vegetables and maybe some type of a grain or something like that you've cooked up. Just keep things really easy on the digestive system. That's the best way to find out. The other key thing is not snacking. Really, we just want to have 2 or 3 meals a day and keep your snacking to a minimum. That's going to give you more clarity around foods and potential triggers. I'm proud of you because you just made it through one of the toughest parts of this whole Candida Cleanse Advanced program. This is where a lot of people just basically give up. They can't be bothered in finding out what the problems are. They'll either go back to the chemist for a pill for a symptom, or they'll go back to the doctor, who often hasn't got a clue about the mystery symptom. You've got now the opportunity to finally get on top of some problems that have been bugging you for years. This could be a low-grade pain or inflammation. This could be a sleeping problem. This could be energy, lack of energy. It could be a subtle symptom or a strong symptom. If it's a mystery symptom, this is definitely the way to go. So what you're doing now is functional medicine at its very best. This is one of the most reliable ways and pinpoint where your problematic foods and drinks are. This also can help to reduce chronic levels of inflammation in the body and support gut healing like nothing else you've ever done before. So if you haven't already done so, please download all your resources. Grab them all for free from candida.com, and I look forward to catching up with you guys all in the food reintroduction, which is the 5th module in the Candida Cleanse Advanced series. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it.